5 a.m., Monday, February 13th, 2023. And we call this Tyler County Commissioners Court Workshop agenda this morning. The topic for this meeting may include, but not limited to, discussions on the following: discussion of early medical retirement option for employees. All right, we do have a quorum, so we can get started this morning. Just letting everyone know, y'all be praying for Buck and his family this morning. All right.
Leanne knows something.
Yeah. Madam Treasurer, you may begin.
So, you'll have two copies. One has some highlights on there, and one is, or the one behind it is some adjustments. I called, TCDRS. I talked to Lori with TAC, kind of comparing the different things. I know y'all had some concerns about some verbiage in there, and I know those were some things that we talked about, but, the concern that TAC had was to make sure that whatever we do is not forcing the employee to retire. And that's not what this is, so that passed the checklist on that. Also, to make sure that we, is even talking to Ralph and then talking to Lori this morning, TCDRS retirement, and then this would be completely separate things. And so we can't morph them into one, having a requirement for this one to run concurrently with the TCDRS. Even though in theory that's the way it would work, we can't really say, because we have no control of the medical side of that. Now my concern is that, but Lori said this looked good, she didn't have any problems with it. I did send it to Lucas for him to review, to make sure that he didn't have any problems with it. I haven't heard back from him yet. My only concern is when talking to Ralph yesterday, or Friday, to be able to qualify for that disability side of TCDRS, which is part of kind of how we kind of tied it, but not kind of tied it. It's very, very difficult. And so he made it clear that there is a panel of doctors that are included inside and out, and that, I mean, it's got to be, will never work again, never, can't even be a door greeter at Walmart, I mean, the whole thing. So I'm concerned about that because that kind of negates the whole purpose of this. If we're trying to help our employees, then I don't know that that's going to be an option with the TCDR side of it, if that makes any sense at all.
Regardless, we still could possibly, I mean, you may have situations that come about that
Yes.
that may need this, you know, it's a different thing, so.
Well, I still stand behind the plan. I'm not wavering on that. I think if you'll read the second page, because that is after I took out the tie with the TCDRS, it makes some changes. The decision of retirement qualification as it pertains to the health of the employee shall be determined by their primary care physician or specialist, not the county or their department. It would basically go off of their doctor, not whether or not they were accepted in TCDRS for disability.
Yeah.
Which would make it less restrictive.
Which would make it less restrictive.
Can I?
Yeah, okay.
I don't have okay, if they're paying what the county pays, that's the 800, whatever it is a month. So it's not costing us dollars, but what it will cost us in the long run, and I just want you to be aware, I'm not against it by no means, is if we let them carry it, do we have a specific amount of time that we allow them to carry it?
Yes, so it is.
The reason I'm saying that is when it comes the yearly renewal,
Right.
they look at our experience.
Certainly.
And if that's been a major illness, it's gonna hurt us in our premium of what we have to pay. I just want y'all to be aware of that.
On the new one you made, is that number 5?
Yes.
Okay.
So now number 5 is to one in the following situations occur. Obtains, health insurance, qualifies for Medicare, or qualifies for Social Security disability. And if any of those things happen, then they no longer are eligible to pay their premium for this.
Okay.
And to that point, Jackie, I totally agree with you on that. However, I don't think,
I mean, we're in a pool, so it doesn't necessarily, I mean, we have that as a benefit of being in a pool. So we're not just, it's not just us, we're in the pool. And that's why we've been able to keep this policy for as long as we have, for as low a cost as it is, because we're in a pool.
but I will say that I think that the employees that we would allow for this, that come to mind, they're already costing us. So it wouldn't be, they're gonna cost us whether they're still employed, or they're gonna cost us whether they go home. Because they obviously have the reason to go home. So the cost is still there. But we're getting this restriction.
Is this the new one that you wrote?
Yes.
Okay, and then this is the
And that is
old one,
the
that's the one that
Yes, sir. That's the
Okay.
person who's in note on the side after I spoke with Ralph at TCDRS. And I will also say that maybe one of the things that we need to look at is not the employee, number 2, maybe the employee needs to have more years of service to be able to do this. So that it's not 8 years, maybe it's, other counties do 15, others, more than that. So I think 10, 15, those kinds of things. And I think that maybe that would be another side of that.
Yeah, I was just thinking,
if we're gonna do it, and then that would be fine, but I would rather see it, in just my opinion, be like a, 12, 8, 12, 16, whatever, somewhere like that. I'd rather do it like on, just things like that, but that's.
Well, because years ago, people used to come to work for the county, stay on it long enough to get the insurance, get whatever operation they needed, and then quit.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
Which affects us, again, in the long run.
yes.
But, what further timeline are we looking at? I mean, like, if you changed it from 8, what do you,
I think it would just be more of,
like 10?
I would think 10, in my mind, so you would do 10 to 15, or 15 to 20, and then, of course, we were at 20.
Because it used to be 10 years to be vested with the county.
Yes. Okay.
And then, but because it was causing elected officials to have to run for 3 terms instead of just 2,
That's why I went
they
to,
went to 8 and then the rule of 75, where it used to be 10 years and the rule of 8.
Yeah, I think 10 would be sufficient for this, and it would just give a little bit more, vague maybe for it, just a control maybe. So I think that.
If you've lasted with the county for 10 years, you get a red ribbon.
Correct.
There's commitment there.
there's commitment for sure. What do y'all think about that? Joe, Doug? Y'all got any comments on that?
wow,
If we do it, move it to 10, that way you got them, they got to work 10 years, you got, at least you have it for 10 years too.
I was thinking of some, a situation if somebody was younger, and got on this, and then, like Jackie was saying, like health problems and just going and pulling, you know what I'm saying? And then
But
they're not near
we've got an
Medicare
out.
age,
Yeah.
In my mind, to be quite honest with you, if you qualify for this, in one particular situation, I'm thinking of anyway, it's not going to be long before that individual will qualify for Social Security disability.
Okay,
So then they're not paying this premium.
yeah,
And on one aspect, I mean, like I said, we're paying, they're claiming, they're going to the doctor, they're doing all the things already. And so we can keep them until they retire and they do that, or we can give them this option and let them go home and then hopefully qualify for one of these sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And then in my mind, There, in another particular situation, I think that it's either this, or he or she may possibly lose their job. And so if they lose their job, then they've lost their benefits. It's certain things. And then probably we're gonna pay unemployment. So then it's gonna cost, one way or the other.
Yeah, as long as there's no cost to the county, I mean,
It wouldn't be, because they would have to pay the full premium
Yeah.
that we
and
pay.
that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
I'm good, as long as there's no cost.
And Jackie and I think we both agree, we're not dealing with dependents, we're not dealing with, additional family members. This is just for the employee, this is just for them. Because to Jackie's point again, when you start expanding who's on the coverage that you have, what I'm saying, then the spouse or whomever may develop some sort of chronic issue, and then we're stuck with that, and we can't get it, because we don't have anything to say until they qualify, So in my mind, it's just the employee. In my mind, I like the 10 better than the 8. And I think that we leave the decision up to their primary care physician or their specialist instead of having to go through the TCDRS. Now, I'm going to encourage them to do TCDRS. I'm going to encourage them to do that application because in theory, you're not working anymore, you're gonna need your job, whatever, you need the money to pay for the premium, because premium's not cheap. It is cheaper than Cobra, so there's that. But in my mind, you need the TCDRS to pay to offset the cost.
Yeah.
So,
Because that's where the problem is. I mean, people can only afford $800 and something a month on their own.
but I think too, it would encourage them to quickly explore other options. Quickly figure out, do I qualify for social security disability? Do I qualify for another cheaper policy? Do I need to shop around? But it doesn't leave them liable when they leave county government. And then also, the whole other side of it is that when you have those employees that fill in those positions that truly need to go home because of their medical condition, then it hinders the office, it hinders the official, because you can't do anything with that position, And I'm not trying to be ugly to anybody, but that is the truth. We have positions that are filled by people that they don't have any other options, and so there they are. And when you give them an option, whether they take it or not, at least we have done our part.
So Leanne, when they, let's just say we have somebody that gets on, this medical retirement through the county, let's say that it kind of coincide what Jackie was talking about. If they don't get any other, they don't end up getting any other options, and then they end up, but they're still paying the $800 from here to whenever. The only downside to the county would be the fact that is if it hits our premium, the pool, yes, that would be the only downside.
Correct, but again, you'd still be paying that if they hung on until they got to the 75,
Yes, exactly, that's exactly.
so what.
My other question is this people that are just gonna quit and go home, or what if they get let go?
This is,
I just wanna make sure that there isn't any misunderstanding.
Well, they got to be medical.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be medically cleared through this, and it looks like it's gonna be very difficult to get.
So their primary care doctor's statement or a specialist will be the one that says they're unable to work.
correct. Yeah, this is not a us decision. It's not a me decision, this is not anything else. This is a truly physician medical.
So it wouldn't include terminated employees.
No. No, and I do see, Leanne had put the language in there, employees shall pay the county either monthly or bi-weekly for the insurance premiums. It must come out of their bank account.
Correct.
So that way we're not waiting on a check for someone or anything like that.
Can we do it that way though?
Yes, sir.
Require
Yes.
Same way we were required to go direct deposit, even though they didn't want to. Everybody new goes direct deposit. I don't think we have very few that are,
Just a couple, but
you know.
just a couple. Just on that one side of the board, I don't know.
Like I said, we're on the ark and we got a plank built to the Mayflower and a lot of us had boarded that Mayflower, but some of those animals are refusing to leave that ark.
So I do think that this is, here's what I would say. I think that this is a starting point. I think it's a good starting point, and I think that I wouldn't want to do anything without just saying yes or no. But I did vet it through, all the other places. So I think again, it's no cost to the county. I mean, we're already running into the claiming situation already. I think I would love to have this as an option, just so that it is an option for those folks that.
So there's really nothing that could come back and put the county back on. Once they get their stuff to the doctor.
Correct. Once we have that position statement that says unable to fulfill and I think it goes along with your job description, because they make you do something in my office, but we couldn't do anything after, on the Wednesday or whatever. So I think it has to go with your job description. So you take the job description and then we kind of mimic a certification letter based on what TCURA says. Just have an official county document, and then if they sign off on that, then that is completely out of our scope and control.
We just gotta make sure that elected officials understand it's the doctor that determines this, not them. Because we're gonna get into a bind if somebody wants an exception to the rule, maybe, and I don't wanna go there.
You have to have 10 years, so
10 years,
consecutive.
consecutive full-time.
Yep.
And then if something happens and you request, I guess, the process would be you would request the documentation to get your certification
Through you.
through me, free of charge. And then I give that to them, then we let them take care of the rest of it, they bring it back to me. And then, if you guys want a report on that, what we're looking at, obviously Jack and I are working to make sure we have all that stuff taken care of, but if you guys want to report on that, I can go into that. As to who it is, I just can't tell you all the details as far as their medical stuff.
Right.
But other than that, I can tell you who, is gonna be retiring early. But I just really think this is one of those things that is needed, for a lot of reasons.
And another thing is, when people leave and they want to keep the insurance, but they got to do COBRA, COBRA is astronomical per month. And golly, back in the 90s, when I left the bank and came back to the county, I had to pay COBRA for 3 months. And let me tell you, it ate our lunch, because if I didn't pay the COBRA, it wouldn't allow my pre-existing, that was long before Obamacare, it wouldn't allow my pre-existing to be covered by the county insurance. So we had to pay a lot. And that was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So it would help them not have to get COBRA and try to do COBRA.
Most of these situations, if the person qualifies for this, they're gonna probably qualify for Social Security disability
That's
too.
not exactly.
And then they're not gonna be on our insurance anymore. Because if they qualify for Social Security disability, then they're gonna be on Social Security, Medicaid, or whatever it is, Medicare, and Medicare, excuse me, yeah. in that way.
So it is the Medicaid side of the Social Security, and then there's the Medicare side.
Okay.
And then, if it's one of those situations where, because disability, SSI disability is sometimes hard to get through, and it takes time.
Yeah.
And then there's probably gonna be those situations where they're like, thank you, but I can't afford it, I'm gonna look around and maybe find something cheaper or something, you know.
Should we put on this one that qualifies for Medicare, put a slash Medicaid? Because you know somebody's gonna say something.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
So if they take this medical retirement, I mean, they will have an option of getting different insurance instead of the county insurance.
Well, yeah, because I don't think it's gonna lock you into, this is just the option to get you to where you need to be. Most of them, if they don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security disability, most of them will stay with what the county has because our premiums are cheaper and we have a better policy. But there may be the occasion where, you know, they don't.
Most likely, though, if they are not gonna qualify for that, I mean, it's, with the price of this and everything else, it's gonna be very difficult for them to.
No, one of the things that I need to add to this is, besides the change in teachers, and I think Jack and I talked about this, to make sure that, they understand it's the annual premium that they're responsible for, and not what we have today, not the day they retire, what the premium is. Because if ours goes up, they need to pay what goes up. If ours goes down, then they get that benefit as well. But I think that that's the other thing I need to have.
So do we need to have like a date set in here, Leanne, Madam Treasurer? Do we need to have a date set in here, like the day that we accept it and everything else? That their first insurance premiums are due or what? Like so many days afterwards or what?
So I think part of their, and we can definitely put that in here, must, well, and I will say this, must, follow the procedure for this early retirement at the time of retirement. In other words, they can't come back in 3 years and say, now I'm on county insurance.
Yeah.
I retired at home, I had something different, but now I'm on county insurance. So I want to be able to do that. I want them to, so it's effective, when you retire, you process your paperwork, and then I can work with Megan and Jackie to figure out exactly how they are billing to.
Well, we pay the premium a month ahead
Right.
anyway.
A month ahead?
We're required to do that. So your premium's already paid for this month.
So can they have disability, like Social Security disability insurance, or Medicare, Medicaid, and county policies, so if they get on that, they have.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no way of, how do we get notified of that, by them, or?
Well, more than likely what will happen is Blue Cross will be notified.
Okay, Blue Cross, that's what I.
Because, I just have to keep an eye on that, and because, you have to declare when to be your primary and when not to be. And so I know we've run into that a couple of times, we've hired some folks that are already on Medicare, and our policy doesn't require one or the other. And so, as a result of that, when they go to the ER, or they go to the hospital, or whatever, I get calls all the time that say, which is their primary? So I hate to do that, because they battle.
Yeah, the insurance, if they know anybody's got Medicare, they're automatically gonna consider themselves secondary.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you can prove that you're still gainfully employed.
I think the main thing, everything looks really good, and, you know, making a few little tweaks there, and I know for me it does, as long as, you know, it's gonna benefit a lot of people. Could, you know, over the years, it could benefit a lot of people that truly need that help. Does everybody look okay? Everything look okay with everybody?
I think it gives a little more options if somebody's not able to do their job, and at least we can get them on so we can get that situation.
Well, that's a lot cheaper than Cobra.
Right.
Cobra's like $1,200-$1,500.
And I think what really did this for me, or initiated this for me, was that, you know, sometimes you can't do a job, you just can't. I don't want them to lose their job because of their inability to do it because of somebody else. And then if they did, then they lose their benefits, they lose the option to have health insurance, and this would have to carry that through. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
Well, and if those of you that have been here a long time remember, we had a person in adult probation that had cancer. And that's back when the insurance really monitored what the illness was. And she was coming to work every day, and she went to the other side, bless her soul, but she came to work sick as a dog. And the insurance called me then and said, based on what her diagnosis is, she can't work. And you're telling us that she's coming to work? Yes, she is. I said, she's sick as a dog, but she's coming to work because she didn't want to lose her insurance. We finally got her on medical retirement, but that was an act of Congress, and that was, golly, that was back in 2002.
Was there any other discussion on this? We changed the 8-year to 10-year. And then we went down on number 5E, we added Medicaid to the Medicare, right?
Yes.
Is that the only changes that we're
I'm
gonna?
gonna add a number 7, and then it's, employer responsible for the annual renewal rates of the premium.
And the effective is it gonna be, when it says that retirement, does that mean they're gonna have to qualify to start drawing an annuity?
No,
No, okay.
because Ralph was saying qualified and eligible are 2 different things. And so just because they're vested doesn't mean that they're eligible actually to retire,
Right.
to draw that annuity. And so I don't want to tie the 2 together and they recommended not, because if we do, then it negates the whole point of the whole thing. So, I mean, eventually, when they meet the eligibility, then obviously they can pull out the time. But until then, this is the possibility.
Okay, so the 10 years is that's the eligibility requirement
For us.
for us. Okay. I just want to make sure I've got it straight in my mind.
Tell me again what number 7 is gonna be.
Employee must pay the annual renewal rate of the premium.
So basically, if they have the 10-year mark and they get sick or they've got a chronic illness or something that is affecting them to be able to work, they get a doctor's statement that they are unable to work is what will qualify them.
Yes, based on their job duties. We'll send a job description.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood.
Does anybody have any concerns?
Any more hashing out?
No, I'm good.
You good, Mike?
I appreciate that very much.
All right,
Okay, before Ken starts, can I ask y'all to do something for me?
okay.
Everybody went over in their budget last year on training and education. Part of it's because per diem went up and then, hotels went up. Everything went up. And so I'm gonna be sending out an email asking the officials to, look at the calendar for the year and see what it is they feel they need to attend, and then figure up how much that's gonna cost, so that I can bring budget amendments to court, so that we don't have people going over for training because of the increase in the cost of living and all that, if that's okay with y'all, just so that everybody's covered. And then I also want to request for y'all to think about when that time comes. When we go to legislative update, we have a line item called, in Commissioners Court Appropriations, called Governmental Relations. And I would request that everybody that goes to legislative update, that not come out of their budget, that it come out of governmental relations. if that's okay, just to be all be thinking about that.
What about, so that's just gonna be legislative update?
Or
Come out?
anything that's not pertaining to your continuing education hours you have to get.
What about like the, trips where we're going
Yes.
to Austin?
Like where y'all went last.
Yes,
Wristbands and stuff like
yes,
that.
yes. Can that come out of
Well,
that?
that's up to y'all, but I would love that, because it's getting to where the amount that we have in training and education and the number of hours that I have to get, because I'm not like some people that are exempted from having to get, I don't ever get exempted.
They told me that now
I don't
that
either, so.
it has to be a county of 800,000 or 900,000 or something like that
Oh,
before
really?
you're exempt, so
But that ain't what it says. It says if you had 12 years.
that's what I thought, what I read too.
Because I read after you said that, I never heard of that, and I looked it up in the law.
But they have the and or right after that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What was that line?
oh, actually, it's not and or, I think it's just R.
Or,
Government solution.
12 years of service, R, in the county of 800,000.
you gotta have that listed.
Jim, I was
Yeah.
trying to say that wasn't what it said, but I don't know.
County
I'm still not convinced.
but that's just because I mean, put it this way, our conference cost so much last year in Austin, they told us this is the last year that we're gonna be in Austin for our institute. We're going to College Station, because in Austin, you know how when you have breaks and they have coffee and whatever, one big thing of coffee was $150 is what our association was having to pay. And they said, we just can't afford Austin anymore. So they're moving our conferences to College Station.
Clerks Association is doing the same thing.
That might be why ours is in Lubbock now, so. Lubbock's cheaper.
We're going to McAllen, so, yeah, McAllen.
So that's, I'm all for that, to move that over to government relations, and then I put out of county representation.
Okay, so I will put it on, get one of you guys to sign it and put it on the next
The
agenda.
next
But in
one.
the meantime, if you would have your, look at your calendar, what you need to go to, what you want to go to, so I can figure out how much we need to amend the budget for.
Because I know this year, I'm probably gonna have to ask for some amendments and different things, because I have so much education to go to this year, so. Me and Donnie will be going out in May, so, for probate academy, on top of that. Which some of mine, as I brought the form the other day, we got $700 or $800 back,
Reimbursement,
so.
yeah.
Got
A
some of
lot
our
of
money
mine
back.
is reimbursed back. My travel budget looks huge, but it's because the money that I get reimbursed goes back in.
But you have a lot of employees too. That's going to education. and different
Well, your
things.
elections is enough to make anybody have a headache.
Was there anything else? I'm gonna let Ken step up here. All right, Ken, come give it to us.
Alright, so, I got approached last week by Allegiance, and, something that they are doing in several other counties, and I'm gonna pass some stuff around and just start on one end and go the other. This is, if you've been in EMS for a long time, it used to be called a thumper, but it's a device that does automatic CPR. So when you have two people on an ambulance, you have to get one person doing compressions. The other person is kind of on their own to try to innovate and do drugs. Everything else that goes along with working that CPR, that code. For being on there, once I can tell you, I used Thumper back in South Houston on the Fort because there was only two of us on a truck. When somebody's driving, how does somebody breathe for push drugs for somebody else in the back? Anyway, so this device, it's a newer, they don't call it Thumper, but it's a new device that they have gotten a lot of, and they're getting them, and here's the reason I'm in front of y'all for this. They have worked with the other counties, a lot of the ones surrounding us, and using ARPA funds, the counties have put these on the ambulances within their counties. I know Polk County, they gave them 7, and they gave Texas EMS 5. Angelina County, they actually have the agreement signed between Angelina County and the hospital. has put them on their trucks there as well. It's we own it. We buy it, we own it. Whoever the ambulance service is in our county at that time, it rolls over to them. And as part of this agreement, they maintain it. Okay, so if you understand biomed costs, you've been in hospitals, biomed costs and upkeep of medical equipment can get kind of pricey. This is all stuff they take on, and it's part of the agreement. I'm gonna pass this around too. Randy got these, I would have got more copies, but I apologize. And I know this isn't a decision-making workshop, this is a discussion. But we could put one in both of our, they keep 2 trucks here, both ambulances, we could put one in both ambulances for a little over $17,000. And would stay here forever. And this, to me, is a direct benefit to the health of Tyler County residents. Any questions? Got the same speech I gave up the other day.
So all the names, that's how we find this.
They're kind of pricey. I mean, those are $8,000 a piece roughly, plus some change. And they're a huge organization. I mean, they're.
So how many would we have to do?
2.
He actually got a quote and sent it to me in the email. They were $8,764 each, for a total of $17,528. And he did ask them for an official quote at my request. So that's roughly what we're looking at, a little less than $8,000.
Well, I'm just gonna say our ARPA funds have already been
Yeah.
committed.
It's been depleted, those.
They've been committed.
Committed.
Nothing's depleted.
No.
They're committed.
I heard say.
Yeah, I did too.
Well, that was what the other counties used.
Yeah.
That's just,
That may be something that we could try to find.
Well, I'm sure we could find that kind of money to pay for it, but I just don't wanna get into what we got into. Of course, this is totally different. But I lost my appeal for FEMA when we had the disaster, and we put a generator at Riley Funeral Home, so we had designated them as our ward, county ward at the time.
right,
And because it wasn't property that the county owned.
Right.
They denied it, even though I proved that we had a county employee pass away, we had to have it, we had a court minute showing. And didn't matter, it didn't belong to the county, we used it on property that didn't belong to the county. That's,
But we would be purchasing, we would own.
we would own
these.
it. And that may be the difference. I don't, you know, fees, they change it every month,
I don't
right?
know.
But we would.
I just don't wanna get into
You know, it's been like it.
And you're telling me though, we buy these, we sign a contract with whatever ambulance company we have, and they are gonna be responsible for the upkeep of this, CPR, automatic CPR.
Just know that it won't ever be reimbursable.
Yeah.
Just get that in your mind, it won't ever be reimbursable.
And those ambulances that we put those in will be required to stay here?
We've had the same 2 ambulances, including, well, actually, sometimes there's 3 sick up there, so there's an extra one. But we've had pretty much the same 2 ambulances, but if one goes down, and I mean, breaks, they would move this to the other ambulances within the county.
Is that just for adults or does that work on children too?
I'm not sure you could use this on an infant.
Yeah, because it would
I think adults and kids you could, but there's not a very big compression with it. Just saying, that's not knowledge of CPR, but I don't know that for sure. But adults and kids, I think can use it. Adults for sure.
Yeah, just one thing to keep in mind too, we put a lot of stock and a lot of interest in our hospitals, which indeed we should. Just remember, there's a crucial time frame for our citizens from the time they're loaded into an ambulance and the time they get to the nearest hospital. So, you know, that's something to really look at to make sure that, we're able to provide the best we can. Not to, and I do understand it does fall on the ambulance company as well, but if there's someone we can reach out and assist them and our citizens, that's a good thing.
Ken, could this be something maybe we could sit down and maybe have a conversation, maybe myself and you, and maybe get Sandra and talk and see what possibly we could all do to work together? Because this will not only benefit us, because I know Sandra's all about Tyler County too, and maybe she can find us some kind of help to possibly with monies and different things, you know, grants. You can find something, because she definitely knows that area, so.
I'm gonna sound like the bad person here, and I
Go
don't
ahead.
mean to.
It's okay.
But what's to stop us from buying more medical equipment for a business that we don't? And I think we should help our people out and all that, and I think that that's a fantastic device. But I mean, then if we buy that, then we can buy something else. I mean, where does it, I mean, now.
It always is right here.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're, just like this one.
And if we,
you know,
well,
right
if we
here.
buy it for this, if it was something, what if the nursing home needs to be something equipment? Or what if, you said they never going to get the device?
Well,
We're on the more of the emergency side.
This is, yeah, this is,
Services.
and we're gonna own this, is that, and I'm not saying we wouldn't own something we gave for nursing home, but I can't figure something we would loan or.
I'm just, I mean,
a
you never know
no-cost
what we're
grant.
gonna request.
Right.
And I'm just saying that we, now, if we did this, then, I mean,
So I-
It's a valid point, because I mean, I can think of a facility that needs, you know, a mammogram machine and things like that, I mean.
Yeah, we're not in
Valid.
the medical
It's a valid
business.
point, yeah.
I mean,
but if there's a possibility that we could find a grant or something that way, I'll dig and see what I can do, and I know you'll dig and see what you can do too, and see. Well, we
and I
can,
support our people, so please, I don't need anybody to.
Yeah, and I'm not, I'm just, it is a valid point, you know.
Would it be worth reaching out to the other counties and seeing how they are preventing that?
yes, possibility.
Which is at least four that are cognitive.
Has it Jasper County, I know you told me Polk County done it,
Right,
right?
County's on this, and Jacinta, maybe Trinity, I mean, I know Cindy, or excuse me, Judge Murphy well enough in court to find out how they're gonna prevent something like that from happening, y'all's concerns.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a discussion that we could get into, just to be sure that we are safe in doing it. It don't hold us accountable for any more monies in that way.
Or what if, this is something curious about, what if they don't maintain like it should be? And then somebody, it doesn't work, the county owns it,
That's a good point.
or would we be liable for that?
But now, the way I understood it though, if we go into an agreement with them, I mean, they would be, most agreements, you're gonna go in with a
Well, we
medical.
gotta have a whole
Yeah.
harmless
Yeah,
plan.
that's the other side of that.
I don't remember seeing that in there.
Yeah, we'd have to have a clause and everything else and get our attorneys to look at it.
And even at that, I think people would still,
It's just a world in which we live.
No, I know, it's all.
but again, I want people to be well in line.
So,
There's no doubt.
that's all we're just here to work.
All right, that's right, that's right. Was anyone got any,
Allow me to do this.
anyone got any other discussion? Renee, did you have something?
Mr. Larry come by and picked up 16 of the old books that we had. They have started the preservation process, which, you know, I was so excited, and then he come and got them, and I was hanging on to that cart like it was, I mean, I'm telling you, it was, but he made it, so they're there, and they're gonna put a dedication page in each one of those books. And I think I'm gonna dedicate it to the commissioners, to the past district clerks, and our taxpayers. So, you know, it's just a fun, I don't know how to explain how I feel about it. It's a process that needed to be done, and thank y'all for affording us to be able to do it. But yeah, it's been worked, and is it my understanding that they are fixing to empty out the third floor? Okay, so everything up there is being moved to another location. So y'all just keep that in mind. I think Burtis has fixed us up a place down there. So we'll be going back and forth to pull dockets, you know, pull things. But I'm also fixing to do some retention records. I've got to get with Dominique so I can feel good about it. But,
Now, you're talking to the queen that ain't about to throw nothing away. Even though they said she could, after I got standing.
well, I am at a point that I have no choice. I'm gonna have to, I mean, the whole third floor, with the exception of the space that Jackie has up there, is full. I can't put no more file cabinets up there. I just don't have a paper in for the paper. And so we're gonna have to do something, and once we put those in a state archive place, there's no getting it back. You can't get it back. So, you know, there again, of course, everybody that comes to y'all is need. So, I wanna get those records digitized, the ones that are from 1950 forward. I'm gonna have to send them to a state archive after I get it digitized, because we just don't have the capacity to keep it. I mean, it's, I'm really gonna be forced to do that. But it is what it is, and so my main goal now is to, after I get the books done, the ones that I have to keep, that I wanna work on keeping, trying to preserve the ones that I have to keep. 1950 backwards. You know, get those taken care of. And then as we go along, I'm gonna try to digitize some and get them sent to the state archive. That's my plan. But you can only do so much in 4 years. So this is just not gonna be a Renee ordeal. So, you know, just, you know, it might take 20 years to get this done. So, but that's where the district clerk's office is right now.
All right. Was there any other discussion this morning for the workshop? Anyone else have anything else? All right.
Somebody came in.
Yeah, I think he's coming in for,
Yes,
he's probably, Skip, you're coming in for Commissioner's Court, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. This is he's our Mr. Skip's our new mayor of Idaho, so yeah. All right. If there's no other discussion, workshop was actually in at 9:22. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion. All in favor, say aye. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Get back.